Protest strikes in Belarus are piling pressure on the country's authoritarian leader Alexander Lukashenko. But he's refusing to give in to demands for a new election. Thousands of people have been protesting last Sunday's disputed presidential vote for 9 consecutive days now. Workers across the country have been walking out in support of the movement, and crowds have been gathering outside the state media's headquarters. But Lukashenko says he won't give in to pressure, telling a crowd today that there will be no new elections unless he is killed. Our international correspondent, Annalise Bourget.
A sea of red and white, colors of the opposition in Belarus, outside factories in Minsk, as President Alexander Lukashenko visited a tractor plant. Hundreds of demonstrators protested as he arrived by helicopter, with several thousand staff striking.
Thank you. I've said everything. Now you can start shouting, "Go away."
The welcome was not a warm one. Meanwhile, former Belarusian presidential candidate Svetlana Tikhanovskaya says she's ready to become a national leader in Belarus. But a political analyst in Kiev told Euronews that having no opposition figurehead could be beneficial right now.
At the moment, the very fact that there is no clear leader, the Lukashenko authorities regime can turn to and threaten, maybe this is even for the good.
In a tweet, the president of the EU Council says he will hold an emergency video summit on Wednesday to discuss the situation in Belarus. And the UK says the government doesn't recognize or accept the results of the so-called unfair presidential election. It follows tens of thousands who gathered at the largest rally in recent history in Minsk on Sunday, condemning the disputed election results and subsequent brutal crackdown by riot police against peaceful protesters. So far, Alexander Lukashenko has rejected calls to step down. Annalise Borges in Minsk, Euronews.
For more on the situation in Belarus, I'm joined now by Veronika Laputska from the Eurasian State in Transition Research Centre. It's a think tank focusing on post-Soviet and Eastern European studies. Thanks very much for joining us here on Euronews. Alexander Lukashenko is somebody who likes to see himself as a strongman leader. He has kept a hold of power for 26 years, and yet over the past 9 days, that's all been unravelling. We've seen state workers walking out, TV workers walking out. What is the situation like for him now?
I believe that he's very surprised by such a massive wave of protests. I believe that he's very disappointed that traitors he had been always referring to as the main supporters, such as workers, are protesting. And of course, it must be very disturbing for him to see that even people from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and just some other officials have also started to protest and have also announced officially the strike against him. So when we are looking at videos like you're showing at the moment, of course, we realize that we can tell by the way he's speaking that he's kind of trying to take his last chance to stay in power and trying to use multiple instruments to do this. He's threatening people, he's trying to be kind, he's kind of trying to use different techniques, but it's not working. So I think he's really now in a very difficult situation.
One of the ways he's trying to placate voters is saying that there could be another election if a constitutional referendum is held. Is that likely to placate the public, or is it a little bit too late now?
I think that this is what public is really looking forward to. The people who are protesting want free elections to happen. They want them to happen one more time, and they want them to be held in a democratic and fair way. From what we know, of course, this is also one of the requirements of the joint headquarters to hold another elections. So I think that this might help to calm down the situation if indeed there is such a decision. But of course, what people are mostly looking forward to is the resignation of the president.
But with pressure mounting both from abroad and at home, if these protesters can keep up their momentum, will Lukashenko really be able to hold on to his power?
I think that Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko is one of the persons who will be doing his best to stay in power as much as he can, as long as he can. He has been in power for 26 years and he has managed to consolidate his power in all different levels through different means. So of course for him this is a surprising situation, and he is trying to do his best. I think that now there are so many talks with his inner team, with his inner circle, what to do next. I'm sure that he's also talking to his colleagues, probably also to Russian President Putin, or we don't know this. But this might be very hard for him, because externally we see that also it's very clear to everyone inside and outside the country that his support is absolutely below minimum.
Now, just there, you're talking about turning towards the Russian president. What do you make of Vladimir Putin's response so far to Lukashenko's call for assistance?
So we, of course, Belarusians and people who are watching the situation, Western countries, are hoping that this will not happen in the way it happened in eastern Ukraine. But we also realize that in our opinion, like I'm speaking on behalf of experts, it will be wiser not to do this for Putin, because Belarusians are in a very different situation from Ukraine was in 2014. There has been no negative narrative about Belarusians in media, maybe some marginal ones, but overall Belarusians are really perceived enormously very well throughout the whole Russian Federation. So Russians do not see us as enemies, and for them I think it would be strange if suddenly Putin starts to say that, oh, actually the enemies didn't help us, something like this. Also, there is a huge wave of support coming from Russia. It's donations coming from countries there, and also the independent TV stations such as Meduza or Dozhd have been covering the protests fairly. So because of the internet and people can really see what is happening, they are really aware of what is happening indeed in Belarus. Also, we think that it might be hard to Putin to take this operation in this kind of proved way, the way it was done in Ukraine, because of also the economic crisis, the aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic, which also led to certain economic crisis in the region and widely in the globe, on the globe. So. But we, of course, we have to be watching the situation, because we don't know what is happening behind the scenes. But on the other hand, we think that what Lukashenko is doing, or what he's saying, the way he's trying to direct his attention at Russia, it looks a little bit like somebody who's trying to catch the last possible chance to stay in power.
A situation that is fast evolving, according to the European Union. Veronika Laputska joining us there from Prague. Thank you very much indeed.